Hey guys, welcome to our channel. Today we are doing something a little different. Our friend Yarim from Puerto Rico asked if he could interview us, and so we recorded it so you guys could see it, just in case you're interested. So stick around and let us know what you think.
Okay, guys, if you allow me, we are going to start your interview. Okay, we're going to start from scratch. These are my friends, my very good friends, Sensei Craig and Sensei Debbie Opalation. They are transmitting from Maryland, USA. Like you know, everybody knows I am in Puerto Rico, the Caribbean, so we are far. So any problem that presents the interview, please bear with us because we are far away, and we are very close in karate, but we are far away in distance. Okay. These two guys are very special to me. They have been my training partners in different occasions. They have been very generous and great people to me. You know. So guys, this is it's you're welcome and thank you. So guys, please let us know when and why you start.
You go, me? You go first.
Okay. I'll go first. I started in 1992, so I was 7 years old, and I started actually because my dad did karate, and he was going back to a local dojo, and I remember I had to wait until I was 7 years old till I could train, and I remember he would leave all the time with my older brother, and I just couldn't wait to start at, and once I finally turned 7, I was able to go, and I just always thought it was really interesting, and I wanted to try. And finally, like I said, I got to go, and I trained when I was a child. And I think I really just started because my dad was into it, and I thought it was really cool. So,
Greg?
Yeah. I think that's it. Yeah.
So I was 10 years old. So it'd been 1991. And I took me a while before my mom admitted this, but I started because my mom kind of pushed me into it because I was a very small kid. I'm not big now, but I'm pretty big compared to what I was when I was a kid. And my mom was, I think, nervous about me being small and going through the world. So where my sister did ballet, it was one of those things that you hear about. So I didn't start at an ISKF club. Where my sister did ballet, basically there's a husband and a wife. The wife taught ballet, and the husband had done karate or something. He had a karate school, and it was kind of popular at the time, and it was a big club, and so that's where I started. I was there for 2 years before my mom kind of heard from other parents that they weren't really teaching things very well, and switched me out, and we luckily found an ISKF club.
Wow.
I've been with them ever
since.
So
now I got a question for Debbie. Debbie, since you didn't start right away, but you were exposed to karate, did that time that you recall, it was like you got a need growing and growing because you want to do it, but they don't allow you because the age thing?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, it was one of those things, and I'm the youngest of 3 kids, so, all my life I was told, you're not old enough to do this, and so, yeah, you're right, that desire just grows and grows and grows. And I remember being so excited in the car ride on my way to my very first practice, and, karate's not for everybody, especially when young kids start. Not a lot of kids stick with it, and I just knew that it was for me. And what's interesting is when I was in high school, the dojo where I was going closed. And so I stopped training probably about 4, maybe 5 years in my high school ages. And when I started college, I just felt like something was missing, And so I actually looked up Sensei Bob Hoffman's dojo because I knew of his club, and that's actually where I reconnected with Greg.
Fantastic.
And the rest is history for that. But so yeah, but that's kind of why I came back to it, was that same desire was there that I had when I was a kid, back when I was in high school, but except I knew that it was, what it was that was missing was that karate piece.
So our next question is for Greg. Greg Sensei. So since you were changing your dojo, like you become a karate student in this dojo that provides you certain stimulus. But when you switch to the ISKF dojo, which I think is Sensei Hoffman, right? From what I can take from David.
That's right. Yeah. So it's
Okay.
Hoffman,
So
Winchester
when you
County.
arrived there, did you see that it was different to what you were doing on those days?
Oh yeah, 100%. So unfortunately, where I was, I think the word McDojo can mean different things, but where I was one of those examples of. I didn't know it at the time when I was 10. I didn't know. Nobody knows this, but it was one of those things where it was just a typical like American karate club where no one really knows anything. The instructors all come from different things. They're not really teaching you any one system. Actually, the other instructor I liked the most was actually a black belt in Taekwondo, but I liked him and he was probably better technically. The head instructor supposedly had trained in Japan, but who knows what that means? One, it could have been a lie. Two, it could have been he went there for a week, trained once, and then came back and then trained in Japan. But it was one of those things where it wasn't really they said they kind of were Shotokan, but they taught some like American Kempo or other things, and whatever it was, no focus on technique, no focus on knowledge. You train till you're orange belt, and then they give you a headgear and mitts and foot pads and mouth guard, and you start free sparring. There's no like building up. You're just free sparring as an orange belt against other orange belts. And anyway, so I'd been free sparring for about a year. I got to almost brown belt at the old club. When I went to the Sensei Hoffman's dojo, I remember still watching probably Kristen Hoffman and this other guy I knew there. They were black belts doing one-step sparring, Ippon Kumite, but with no pads. And they were kicking and punching at each other and really hard. And they were moving and blocking. Wow. I remember being kind of afraid of them because they were in one-step sparring. And I was afraid, even though I've been doing free sparring. And I was actually kind of good, considered good at that old club, because you just have all these mitts on and you're just throwing. You don't know what you're doing. And that was when I realized, oh, geez, these people actually know what they're doing. And this is different. So it was very noticeably different.
So Greg Sensei, in a way, I gotta ask you the same question that I asked Sensei Debbie. Since you were not exposed to that type of karate, do you think that feeling of need was growing into you without you noticing it? Certainly.
Do you mean like before I started training at all, or when I was training
in the first dojo that you were experiencing? It wasn't like.
No, I mean, no, I didn't know any better. It didn't build up this desire for more because I didn't know there was more. Like I didn't know what else was out there. So I would have stayed there forever if my mom didn't hear from some other parents that they weren't doing things quite right. I would have stayed there because I thought I was good. I was one of the good kids.
I see.
I was better than everybody else. So I thought I was fine. And then I found this video of me as a purple belt doing Heian Sandan or something. It was embarrassingly bad. It was so bad. I was doing the Heian Sandan. I just didn't remember being that bad. Like I was so bad.
So I guess when you saw yourself, when you saw Kristen and the other person doing one step, did you want your karate to look like theirs?
Oh yeah, for sure. Oh yeah. Like once I saw the ISKF club, I definitely was like, okay, this is how I want to be, or I want to do what they can do. But yeah, so I did want to. But
so from there, what happens? Sure. Because you have different experiences, very long experiences too. So please tell us from there what happens to you guys.
You go first because you kind of had not a back and forth story, but you had
So
and then actually we interchanged for a moment.
We did when so I trained at a club within the same city, let's say, as Greg did, because we're actually from the same hometown. Excuse me. So we're so I started at 7. I got my black belt at about
12. And then, like I said, my dojo closed probably right around that time that I got my black belt. And so for a very short time, did I come to your club then?
Yeah, I think, yeah, that's true. You came, that's true.
With the Elliots. So the Elliott
Oh.
and Kata Elliott and Gabby and that whole family, you know, some of them weren't even born yet when I started training there. But so I trained with them for a little while, and I think I trained with Sensei Hoffman for a while. And then just logistically, I was young, so I wasn't driving yet. So my parents couldn't drive me all over the place. So that's when I stopped training for a few years. And then, like I said, when I was in college, I came back. I started training, I think, when I was about 20. So I came back to Sensei Hoffman's club when I was 20. And I think I got my knee on there, and then we moved out to Ohio together. So we have a long, I'm not sure how far you want me to go, but when we were 22 or so, we moved out to Ohio. We actually ran the Ohio State University Club. So we ran that club. Good. We ran that club for 5 years. Good. Oh, Greg's turning on the light. It's really bright. We ran that club for 5 years, and then that's when we moved back to Baltimore in 2011. And the rest is history. So we've been really blessed wherever we go. We have excellent instructors, you know, starting with Sensei Hoffman. We had Todd Elliott for some time. And then when we were out in Ohio, we had, you know, oversight of Sensei Martin Vaughn and Sensei Oberschlag. We had a few times where we got to train with Sensei Golden, which was really, really cool. You know, just there's so much support within the ISKF family that even if you don't have an instructor right with you, you have someone there that you can kind of reach out to and, you know, connect with. And so, of course, we've been in Baltimore since 2011. And I mean, the Amin family is just absolutely spectacular, not only as, you know, karateka, but just human beings. I mean, we've learned so much from them, just being, you know, really good people and welcoming. The whole club there is just fantastic. And I feel like, and I'm just going to say this, I don't know if it's true, but just with my experience, there's no training like Baltimore training. Like, there's just isn't. And, you know, you come to Baltimore and, I mean, you really test your physical fitness and your karate knowledge, you know, it's really like nothing else. It's a really special place. So we're very blessed to be there, and that they just pour so much into us, both of us. So,
it is.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah. I mean, so there's, and you know, it's better than anybody else. We don't need to tell you this. It's more for anyone that would watch. Yeah.
It is. It is. It is for sure. You know, very special place. Very special place. You know, and with the years, I think it's even more special because many of the programs out there, because people are getting old and unfortunately disappearing, you know, each year becomes more and more special. You know, if you ask me. So I would like to ask you guys if you can tell us what were like the different stages on your development in your karate that you have seen your evolution, so to speak.
That's interesting. I have to think about that for a second, but I think, you know, I'll say this as I like buy time to think about it. Is that's a good question for like anyone watching to like think about that, or to recognize that our training does have these like really kind of specific like levels or points in history, you know. So it's not like, while our linear, our time is like this like straight line from the when we start and you just keep going, but it's more like we, just like the way we feel our karate gets hopefully better, it's more of these plateaus, these jumps. So we train and we feel the same, and then at some point we realize, oh, now I'm here, I've made this level, I feel this good, and then we train at that level, it doesn't feel, we change, and then we hit another level. And so I don't know that everyone is really conscious of that and conscious of thinking, well, where am I now, where have I come from? And it's not a straight line. It's like you go this way, then you jump, you go this way, then you jump. So I mean, I think that probably, unfortunately, everything up before Sandan, I might say, was like one level, one thing, you know. It's like I was about as good or bad up until like Sandan. That's kind of a point where I think my karate finally got mature enough that I felt like, all right, I kind of know what I'm doing now, you know. And that wasn't black belt, it wasn't Nidan, it was like Sandan. I was like, okay, now I kind of know what I'm doing. I would say that kind of coincided. I was in college, so I was teaching a bit. So I think when people start to teach, that probably brings up a different level, that opens up something different. So I think teaching was, another thing that opened up another level of my training, because it forces you to reckon with how much you really know and how well can you explain things. So that was something else. And then maybe, another jump too is if you, again, we don't want to put too much emphasis on competition, but then when you hit a point where because most, even I'll say this for everyone watching, most even high-level competitors have a lot of self-doubt. No one wants to talk about that. But I can tell you from talking to a lot of people, most people have lots of feelings of doubt. No matter how much they do or win, you can win, and then that first loss, oh well, I lost, so I'm not so good. So I think when you can hit a point as a competitor where you at least have some confidence in yourself, that you look at yourself as, oh, okay, I'm not too bad, and that takes a long time to feel that way. So maybe that's another point when I started to give myself permission to feel some confidence, and to where you kind of win somewhat consistently, not all the time, but you hit a point. So this is more of a competitor answer, but like if you hit a point, at least talking about whether it's kata or kumite, where you're winning the matches that you should be winning, then that's not that means you beat everybody, but it's okay. You're consistently, when you go against another karate player and you think to yourself, well, I can see that I'm at a better level, I should win this match, and then you do that consistently. I think that might not sound like a lot, but to me, that's like hitting this other level of you're consistently winning the matches that you're supposed to. And that's one of the few benefits of competition is for you to be able to, think about that for yourself. Regardless of what the judges see your call, what your level is and what other people's are. So I think competition can offer a little bit of that self-measuring. And then right now, I don't know, maybe I'm going back to the basics. I'm going back to like revisiting how much I really think I know about a lot of things. So maybe I'm in that phase of pulling things apart. I think I'm probably done competing, and I'm looking back again at how much do I really know.
So
about
now
these things that I think I know about. So
now with the COVID for
answer,
you,
so
it's like you're going back to revisit something that is more personal. It's not out there. It's not a competition. It's not an outside
right.
Like a stimulation. It's not an outside stimulation. It's more inside. Your process is more a inside of what you are doing in your process, correct?
Yeah. Right, exactly. Because if you want to win a competition, that's okay. That's easy. There's a small number of things you do right or wrong for competition, right? So I'll be doing Teki today. So yeah, if I want Teki Shodan to be good, there's certain things I do to my Teki Shodan to make it look good, score well. But those sometimes can have nothing to do with understanding the technique, what's it doing, and how to make it effective. So effective techniques aren't the things you would train to win a kata competition. So yeah, so you're exactly right. Now you're looking at, well, what do I need to work on so that I feel like I'm doing this well? So I don't know. What did you feel about? Have you thought about like those levels of your training before, or when were your mile markers? Like, what do you think about?
Yeah, I would say mine are really different. When I was a kid, you don't know anything as a kid, in my opinion. At least I didn't, and I felt like I did, but looking back, I certainly didn't. So like I said, I was very young, in my opinion. My black belt at 12, and so you feel like you can take over the world when you have that black belt in your hands, and I had very good instructors, and it's nothing against my instructors. You're just a young kid, and and then, like I said, when I came back when I was college, I think a lot of that time was really just like polishing and like breaking off all the rust. So Sensei Hoffman and all of my senpai at that dojo were just so patient with me and just really kind of helped me find, kind of start me on my way to finding who I am as a karate player. And I don't really think I found that really honestly till very recently. But they kind of helped me chip away at some old habits. And, my father was actually one of my very first instructors as well. And my dad is just a very different body style than I am. But I tried to do my karate like my dad. My dad's a very stocky guy, very thick man. So, my karate as this little girl was just, I remember him telling me.
That's really cool.
So that's who I was because, as a student, well, yes, it looked pretty goofy, I think. As a student, I think naturally just emulate your instructor. And as instructors now, we know that's where we can see our mistakes, but that's a side topic. But so I think during that time, when I was in my early 20s, I was really chipping away at these old habits and these things that I didn't know ahead. And of course, I was out for training for 5 years. So really just, and when you think about it, when I left, I was 13, and when I came back, I'm 20. Well, there's a huge difference in your body when you're 13 and when you're 20. Yeah. So I really had to relearn how to move my body and, you know, what things, I can't do squat kicks anymore. I can't, you know, do just like all of those sort of things. And then we moved, and karate was very different for me because this was the first time where at Ohio State, we were the head instructors. Yeah. So the first year was the head instructor, but then he handed over the reins to Greg. I would say maybe the assistant instructor. So this was the first time in my career up to that point where I was the assistant instructor, or someone really the senpai of the club, and I had never been in that position before. So that was a learning opportunity for me to be able to feel like I had some knowledge that people might want to hear, and you know, so that was really kind of neat. But it was also interesting in a way where it was kind of one of the first times that I used karate as kind of like an emotional thing for me, where we had just moved from Philadelphia to Columbus, Ohio, and all we had was each other and karate. And so it was one of the first times where I really realized how important karate was, besides my faith, was just so central to our lives, you know, and it really, without karate, we wouldn't have had any friends. We wouldn't have had anything to do, you know, and he was in grad school and I was just working a 9-to-5 job. But it was really, I really became really grateful for what karate did for us in our lives, you know.
So Debbie, so
that was that period. And
I got a question for you right there. I'm sorry.
What's that?
So,
oh yeah.
In a sense, yeah, I hear you perfect.
Okay.
In a sense, that moment that you were in Ohio, and you don't have you know, too much friends outside of karate, that was like the cement of your situation today when you teach, right? Because you guys have a wonderful chemistry when you teach, you know, and that's incredible. That's part of the I'm sorry, I'm gonna use the word the charm, you know. Your situation, you have a charm when you teach. You combine so beautifully, you know, so nice, so fresh, but at the same time, right in the money, you know.
Thank you. That's nice to say. Yeah. I think I kind of forget about that. We technically have been teaching together for a while.
That's true. We co-parent. I mean, we have kids, so it's got that kind of thing where it's like we're used to balancing that. We're just used to balancing, I don't know, that role, that leadership role. So
trading off.
It's good to hear. You know, we just kind of started winging it, like, I don't know, 6 months ago when we started this thing.
Yeah.
You know, I'm glad to hear that it comes off well.
So guys, what are your developments right now on this moment? Your developments, the way that you're working, what is the direction that you are taking right now with this, not only with this situation of the COVID-19, but also in your personal training, in this point of you having so many years behind you and so much experience, you know, what is the direction that you're gonna take? If you can explain us that.
Universe.
Yeah. So I'll go back to finishing up kind of my
I'm sorry.
stages because I'm not quite there yet. But if that's okay. No, that's okay. It's good. But I think that kind of helps me to segue into the question that you just asked. So I have 3 babies. So throughout all 3 pregnancies, I trained, you know, and obviously we have support, and Greg's huge support in that as well. But I think one of the biggest breakthroughs for me, as far as my training, actually, you know, I did a lot of, when we came to Baltimore, very, very technical training. You know, Sensei Fareed is just in my opinion, one of the most fantastic
Totally.
technicians that I've ever met, as well as an instructor and just a personal mentor, just everything. You know, he's one of my best friends, frankly. Like, you know, and he helped me in many ways. And I think obviously he helped my technique tremendously. But I think what actually helped me move on the most was I had a lot of mental barriers. And what I mean by that is I doubted myself tons. I didn't believe in my technique. I didn't believe in my karate. And I'm not sure if it was because of my size or because previous experiences, but it really helped me identify what I would call demons, like my mental demons that really just, I would tell myself that you're not good enough, you're going to lose this in competition, you're going to lose this fight, you know, just like all these silly things. And I never really realized how much they were holding me back. And I actually got through that probably 18 months ago. And ever since I broke that, I mean, I just feel completely different. I feel free. I don't really care what happens at tournaments as much. I just feel stronger. Like I feel, I don't know. It's just I feel free, you know. And there's no other better way to say that. And he really helped me believe in myself. And I think that there's nothing better
That's
someone
fantastic.
can give to another person than that.
That's fantastic.
And he's just, yeah. It's and then so that, yeah, that's kind of where I am right now, is believing in myself, but also my goal right now is helping. And I think a lot of women deal with this. I'm not sure if men do as much, but my goal now is looking back and reaching to the next ones in line. So people who are, you know, in their early 30s, in their 20s, like young women, telling them, you know, like, you are enough, you are worthy, you are fantastic, you will get there. Because I feel like there's not enough of that in community in general, but also in karate. Like, there's a lot of competition, there's a lot of snarkiness, just unkindness. And I feel like the more we can do that, the better our art will be, and really just, I don't know, better humans will be. And I think, and I don't know, I think there's a lot of perfectionists in karate, because I know I'm one. And once you let go of that expectation of yourself, I mean, you're just unstoppable. And that's how I feel. And that's really where I am now, is pulling others up to what, I don't want them to suffer through what I suffered through. I don't want them to learn the hard way. I just want to give them the easy pass, you know, just pass by all those lies, just keep going. You know, I don't know, sorry if I got too
such a great way
Yeah.
to help others, you know, to invest in others. It's a very necessary, not only for us, but also for the system. Because if we don't invest in this next generation, what we are doing without knowing it is creating a hole. We're creating a dent in the system. Because next generation is not going to be ready for taking the role when we are no longer, you know. And that's very I'm gonna say dumb, but it's a reality, because many people is competing with their peers and the people that are below them, which is very bad for karate, you know.
I agree. And a lot of, you know, the competition is really great. It keeps us coming together. But like, during competition, if you look at Greg and I when we're not competing, we're helping everybody else. We're like, oh no, next time try this. Like, I noticed when your kamae was up, you drop your hand before you kick. So next time, make sure your hands are up. Like, it's all about that. It's when you're in the ring together, sure, I'm going to take advantage of your, you know, things that you're doing that I noticed. But as soon as we're out, I'm going to tell you why I saw it, you know, and that's what it's about. It's, you know, like I said before, I think too many people are just misunderstand it, or maybe just don't understand it the way we do, and that's okay too.
Yes,
so we're all
yes.
in this for different reasons. So I think I'm talking too much. So
No, it's okay. I'm good. I forget what the original.
The question was like, where do you see yourself?
Oh,
right
where
now?
are we heading now? Yeah. I mean, I guess I can kind of piggyback off that, because that's kind of where what I enjoy about, you know, tournaments now, is kind of looking, like you said, for who do I see that maybe I feel, you know, not necessarily needs encouragement, but who do I want to like offer advice, encouragement to, because I think that they, you know, I think they've got a lot of potential to, to do well and to, make karate something that they're doing forever. So, I enjoy trying to reach out to people and give them a little bit of advice, because I think Deb and I have had a few people, but it's not a lot, but we have had a few people that have kind of done that through our careers. And it doesn't take a lot, little things, little piece of advice that just let you know, oh, this person's watching me and notices me matters a lot. So so we try to do that. So that's something that I think matters as part of our training, like you said, to kind of keep the system going and to kind of keep people training and encourage others. So that's part of it. I think right now, in a way, we're both maybe where we are right now in our training, because we're doing a lot of training at home, is we're kind of deconstructing or pulling apart both like katas to kind of understand them a little more. And there's a lot of good bunkai out there, but we're also kind of trying to figure some of this stuff out ourselves, or we're looking for what bunkai actually makes sense to us. Some bunkai is really good, but we're like, that's great, but that's not going to work for me, or that's not going to work for this other situation I'm thinking of. So we're trying to think through kata a little differently than we would train kata for competition. And then we're also just doing that for techniques in general. I think we're like trying to just look deeper into these techniques to like think about, well, we've always been taught this, but how do I actually do it, or what makes sense to me, what works for me, or we're just been doing some sparring with each other and just trying out really weird or wacky things and just seeing what comes naturally. So we're trying, for me, I'm interested in different ways that we can. So we're like a little bit of like a science lab where I'm trying to hopefully take stuff out of our training that will be helpful for clubs, moving forward, which is how can we elevate our sparring so that it's can it be a little more inclusive of more techniques and more things that is in karate, including just grabbing arms, grabbing bodies, then freeing yourself. What about really really close in distances? What about just really? What about defending yourself with Shotokan karate, but defend yourself against non-Shotokan techniques? If just really bizarre things coming at you, what would you actually do? And so there's ways that how can we bring that into some of our dojo training that to me that's expanding my mind. So that's been something we've been doing. That,
very nice. Very nice.
Looking at.
But one of the things that it's always had been my opinion is that when you are against an opponent that is better than you in doing Kisamizuki, Yakosuki, you come from a technique that he don't manage. So, for example, you attack him with high touch, you attack him with a front hand, things that he don't expect, that he don't understand, he don't deal with. So you take away that aspect of giving him what he's good on. Make sense?
Yeah, for sure. One thing that we've been doing in our we could call it play fighting, but we try to fight in a way that's not very structured, or we're not trying to score points or get in. We're just trying to kind of keep these exchanges going. And in doing that, she'll throw like really weird, bizarre things at me, and I was like, what would I do there? I don't know. I've never seen that before. What would I? So but the more we do it, then we get used to seeing things, and we get used to these different situations and positions, and it becomes easier because again, we're so used to Shotokan techniques and defending yourself against Shotokan techniques, above the waist that are legal and the reality is, we're defending ourselves, we have no idea what's going to really come at us, and so just expanding your eyes to see different things from different places.
That's nice. That's nice.
It's really a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun.
It's fun too.
We're very blessed to have each other, to have that partnership, to be able to train and spar throughout this time. And we recognize that. So,
and it shows. It shows when you are teaching. You look like you are having fun, which is even cooler, right?
Yeah, we are.
We got a good workout.
Yeah, we get a workout, but like we're not afraid to laugh at ourselves because it's never perfect, and I often will say goofy things, and Greg will think, what are you saying now? And but we're in our own home, and we're inviting everyone to our home, and this is just who we are. And,
that's totally right.
So,
that's totally right.
Okay.
It doesn't have to be perfect, right? In a certain way, we're not showing a perfect video. We're showing a process, and processes never are perfect. always had flaws.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know,
That's true.
Actually, in the beginning was very hard. To me, was very hard because people say, "Oh, you got to do this, you got to do that," and I said, "Brother, what I'm showing you is my process. It's okay. It's okay. You know, you got to let go, have fun."
And that's the beauty of this.
So,
good point.
one of the things that I would like to talk to you guys is how you develop your training so you cannot injure yourself in a long run, which is very important these days because we see many karateka that have been injured because you know the training has changed. You know, in the 80s and today was the process was very different training wise. You know, the process has changed a lot. You know, so it's important now in these days especially that we train accordingly to those changes that have improved the possibility of having a you know good relationship with karate, that you can grow old and you can have good health in a long run.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's something we've definitely been thinking about a lot more. Maybe it coincides with us getting slightly older since we came to Baltimore, but it's probably coincided a lot with being in Baltimore. We thought more about longevity. It's been kind of trained into us or coached into us, you know, a lot. As far as like what we do, what people in general can do. I mean, the first or simple thing is you have to really be aware of your body, listen to your body. So when, of course, pain is your body's way of telling you something's not quite right. We can train through a little bit of discomfort, but if something's actually painful, that means you got to pay attention to that part of your body. So you have to stop what you're doing, train differently, you know, try to, you know, get stronger, better in that part of your body. But that's the first thing that's accessible to anybody, but not everyone. So maybe people don't do it because they want to be tough or push through something. So that's the first thing is, if you don't want to injure yourself, you have to listen to your body when it's hurting a bit, stretch, rest, listen, go to doctors. But as far as training, that's part of why the basic form is important. And some things that can seem like they're really minor can be big. So all the things like knee position, foot position, posture, even things like making like a reverse punch and over rotating through reverse punch too much doesn't seem like a lot, but if you're doing that a lot over time, you're kind of tweaking your back muscles in a way that's not good. And when you're young and your body's strong, that's fine. But at some point, you get to a point where that over rotation could be a problem for your lower back. So
even things like, you know, for example, Kata, you know, it has the silicone so often growing up, like, you know, you see those like people coming down Gion and they're making this huge stomping sound. Well, that's terrible for your leg, your foot, your ankle. It's terrible for everything. So it's like to piggyback off of what Greg said, it's like really being aware of making the technique efficiently and correctly is super important, because you can make the even more power, just the same amount of power. Obviously, you don't want the power to going in the floor anyway. So it's really being aware of your techniques and being efficient with them. And and then I think
for sure. I mean, good, because there is actually incidentally that came up today where Freed asked the people over there, you know, you're watching Okinawans, bring up the Okinawans a lot, and he's like, you know, he asked me, why do I bring up the Okinawans a lot? It's like, you know, it's look at the way they move things. They're not kicking their head a lot, you know, not really. Stance a little bit, you know, higher, but you know, they're all able to move. They're moving when they're in their older age, and so he's kind of pointing out that what we actually do, generally, about, you know, traditional karate, it is actually or modern karate, traditional karate is different. Like we've changed it. He points out or reminds us we've changed it from Okinawan karate. And so that's not necessarily good or bad, but if we're not too careful, then some of those changes maybe aren't healthy to do for 50 years straight, and then wonder why you have knee or hip problems. And so he likes to look back at the way Okinawans do karate, and a lot of it's similar and overlaps, but he likes to look at the way they move more as instruction for injury prevention. The things they don't do, maybe don't do those things. The things they do, then maybe those are the things that your body can, you know, sustain long term. So.
And I think it's pretty much the same concept. Is that we all have, obviously everyone's body is different. So we all. One of my friends, Gabby Elliott, said this really well one time, where it's like we each have our own preset limit to each technique. And she said this, you know, she's like 12 years younger than I am, but I'm like, wow, that's like really good. And it's true. And when we push ourselves beyond those natural limits, that's when I think we go into that injury zone.
Yeah.
And I think, as to what Greg said, you have to know your body well. And it's great if you can do a Mawashi Gary Jodan, but number one, it's like, it's not really good for your body. And number two, like, you're not going to use it to protect yourself, right? That's just for tournament and for flashiness. And again, everybody does karate for different reasons. And maybe you did join karate so you could do a house kick to the head. I don't know. But it's not something that you want to do. You know, we do Chokozuki. How many times have we done that in our lives, right? So if you're doing a Washigiri Jodan that many times, it's just, and especially if it's outside your normal range of motion or your predestined limit for your body, it's just really, really not good. And like I said, I think she said that really, really well, and it really stuck with me because it's true. And my limit is different than Greg's limit, and yours is different than ours. And so, and I think we need to coach our students and ourselves to remember to stay within our own ability. And it's so tempting to look at other players and say, oh, well, you know, Sally can do a Mawashi Gary Jodan inside outward, backwards, and upside down. Well, I wasn't meant to do that. So, and I think that really mirrors to every other part of our life too, where it's like we're it's that trap that's what I consider a comparison trap. You're in this trap looking at everybody else, and you're not working on your own self. And I think if we stay within our own limits, you can push your boundaries, I think, a little bit. But when you go too far, I think
that's very interesting. So, in a sense, both of you have told me that it's important to do an assessment of what your body can do, and what is good for you and your development. It's an individual assessment, correct?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. Because what might hurt one person might be okay for somebody else.
Yeah. I think that's constant
totally.
too, right? So as it's like like I said, when I was 7, I could do squat kicks, and now that doesn't feel great. So it's like, well, I'm not going to do that, you know. So and I think it also depends on how hard you're training, if you're preparing for a competition, if you're not, like, you know. And as Greg said, resting, like, there's just so much stuff, and you know, it's hard to see when you're in it, but looking back.
And the thing is, in a sense, competition, for example, is very dangerous. You know, you don't see it if you are doing it all the time, but somebody can grab the leg and throw you over them, you know, and your hip socket can go out like that, you know.
Yes. Yep. Absolutely. Yeah, you can be done with one sweep. If they hit you the wrong way or the right way and they catch you, that could be all of your training, you know. So
it is. My question came because I see in your trainings you also do like back lunges. You do many things that came from fitness, and that's very unusual. But again, it's incredible because the reality is that those developmental exercises, assisting exercises, are very necessary for karate these days. You know, because if we want to age, we need to have muscles that assist us in our way of moving, or we will have a damaging body in the long run. You know.
Yeah.
Okay. So.
Absolutely.
I agree. I think that
please,
really.
Please. Yeah. Go ahead.
I said real quick, just to build on that real quick. So don't forget your point. But I was gonna say, to build on that, the other like secret of how do we train in a way that we can not injure ourselves is, like you said, to be in good shape, strong muscles, and flexible. So you want to make yourself stronger, not because being strong is important. That just helps protect your body so that you can hopefully do this as long as possible. So at some point, I think I'm hopefully still going up in my physical ability, but at some point, my goal will just be do today what I could do tomorrow, what I could do yesterday. That's it. So today I want to be able to do what I could do yesterday, and I just want to maintain that. So essentially, eventually, that's the goal, is just try to maintain where you are. And if you can do what you did yesterday, then that's a good today. And
well, let's be honest, our goal is to eat first breed every day.
Right now, that's the goal. Yeah, we'll try.
That's a very good goal.
So,
Yeah.
yeah,
Not
working
sure
on
if it's
that.
attainable, but no, and to piggyback what Neil said again, it's like, eating right,
Yeah.
drinking water, like all the things
Yeah.
that we tell our children to do, we try to do as well.
Yeah.
So eat your vegetables. Like,
These are bubble waters.
yeah, they're seltzer waters. But yeah, we try to live a healthy lifestyle, and I think that's really important too. Is exercise is we're very fortunate. We feel very fortunate that we fell in love with karate, because it's super easy for us to stay fit because we have karate. Now it's like other people go to gyms or they run, and like we've done those things before, but it's always like you don't really want to do it because it's just not our thing. But we feel so fortunate that kind of we found karate, or karate found us, or something that helps us stay fit, and I think that's a big part of it too, is like I don't feel like if karate can improve if you're not physically fit.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's a huge part of, and I also feel like, I'm not saying it's impossible, but I also feel the effectiveness. I'm not sure how effective we can be if we're not physically fit as well. Like, and it's also like a mindset too. If you're not always training, it's not going to be second nature. Like you can't just get your black belt and then be able to defend yourself 20 years later. It's that constant, it's that constant attention.
Yeah, well,
so,
in some point, the body changes. And you gotta change also your focus.
Mm-hmm.
It happened to me. I would say the last month and a half or so. I cannot do things that I used to do with the power that I used to have. So instead of looking for power, my next development personally was to look for smoothness, and to put only the tip on the last moment of the impact. My kime is in the last moment. Everything else is just a flow movement, and that's what I'm doing right now, because my necessities have changed. I'm almost hitting the 5-0 right now, so it's a change of mentality.
No way. Don't believe it.
I'm not too far, let's say that.
Yeah.
So, I feel great. Good. I feel great. But the focus had changed. Yeah. Had changed for sure. The necessities had changed. Yeah. The body had changed, and will still keep changing, because if for example, the thing that I told you, that somebody can grab you and throw you from over them in a competition, that happens to me. I have a little space into one of my hips, so I use a ball to make hip inflections, and a bungee cord to make hip extraction, so I can help my body to keep going and be healthy and keep my wachigari is over there and no problem, But we need to concentrate on the things that the body's required from us. It's not the other way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So
I agree with that.
I gotta ask you, Sensei Debbie, very important question. I had seen that we are developing more and more. Don't worry.
Yeah, we have a dog in here. Okay.
I surrender. Yes. Sensei Debbie, we are seeing a better development on the role of women karateka, which we are extremely delighted, because we think that the position of women karateka had been denied for some time, and the reality is that we really require to have a good development of women karateka. Can you help us to know if you have seen that the position of women karateka had evolved and is in a better direction than previously?
I do feel that we're in a better position than previously, but I feel like we have a super long way to go. And I don't say that to be upset. I say that to be hopeful. You know, I'm hopeful that more and more women will tell their stories. Like you're giving us the opportunity tonight to tell our story. And again, I think it comes back to what I was talking about before, those demons that we have in our minds, where we don't believe in ourselves. We don't believe that we have things to offer. You know, and I'm not sure, that's probably just things that we're telling ourselves, but it also unfortunately does come from experiences where, and this is within the karate world and also outside, just in general, we're just, our gender just isn't really seen as equals in anything. And so I think we're always just trying to prove just to break even, right? So, but I do feel, especially with people like Greg and with you and a lot of my male senpai who really encourage women and really, you know, just push us forward to any other karate player. And I would like, obviously, to see more female instructors in any organization. It's not just at ISKF. ISKF has phenomenal women, and they do as good job as they can getting us out there. But I think part of, you know, when we get to that point, a lot of times women have children, and they have husbands and families and jobs, and that's kind of one of those things that kind of gets dropped to like the least important thing that they deal with. And you know, dads have kids too, so it's not just a woman thing. But I think we fall back to that traditional role a lot of times, and we would rather spend time with our kids or our husbands. And karate is kind of one of those things where typically it happens at the end of the day, and you're just exhausted of being with the kids all day, and you just want to spend time with the family. And so I think we have that struggle too. So perhaps that's maybe why there aren't as many women at that instruction level. But I do feel
that's
like
great.
we are moving in the right direction. I would like to see a whole lot more, but I think it's important for people like me and people who are a little bit younger and a little bit older to keep us together. So every year at our club, we run a women's Shia. So we bring all the women together from our region. Last year we had 18 competitors, and we had some people from Colorado come. We had some people from, you know, the Northeast, and we just had, and it was free. They just came and they trained for a weekend with Sensei 3, and then we had a Kumite Shia at the end. Everything was free. There was no winner or loser. It was just round robin. And really, what the most important thing is just that camaraderie and just building each other up. And you know, after every match, the women are hugging each other and just saying, you know, good job. And that's something that's done for the last 5 years. So those are the types of things that I'm doing with the encouragement of Sensei Fareed and of course Shihan Najib Amin, just doing these types of things to bring the women together and to just push us forward.
That's phenomenal.
That's what we need. And you know, hopefully we keep pushing that forward. And I don't know, that was a long-winded answer, but I think we're moving in the right direction, but we're trying to get us there fast.
Sensei Greg, so the next question is for you, sir.
Yeah.
So,
okay.
what were the katas that you developed with in your development? And actually, what are the katas that you are doing right now, and why?
I can kind of answer that somewhat clearly. I'm lucky where I've tested enough and competed a long time, so I've specifically worked on a lot of the katas. So I'm basically going to answer this based on what was my Takui kata that's been my kata, or what have I done for a test or team kata, right? So by answer this, it means I've worked on this kata pretty exclusively for a number of years. So after Black Shodan, then I tested for Nidan with Kankudai. So I worked on Kankudai, that was my kata for a while. I chose this was the longest, hardest one I could do as a, Shodan or so. So Kankudai I've worked with a lot. I did Team Kata with Kankudai a couple of times as well. Sandan, I did Gankaku, and Gankaku was really, really important for, Gankaku might have helped me more than any other kata. So if someone's never done Gankaku, that will slow down all of my katas. So you do Gankaku enough, it gives you that patience to not rush through your other katas. So Gankaku worked on for a while as my Takui kata. For my Yondan, I did Goju Shiho Dai. So the Goju Shiho Dai for a while, years ago, and then went away from it, kind of have come back a little bit. But Goju Shiho Dai I worked on for a while. And then, gosh, for my Goran, I did, sorry, Kankusho. Ardol is the one. So she's going to knock something over. So I did Kankusho, and that's probably technically still my kata. Takui kata is Kankusho, so I've done that a lot. And I did Kankusho for Team Kata a few times. So that one is
a marvelous kata, you know. Kankusho is a marvelous kata. The thing is, the jumping, I cannot do no more. No.
It's tough, and that's to go back to one of the other questions. I remember, I won't call him out, not that's a problem. One of my senpai, who I really respect, look up to, I realized the way he started training eventually was he would stop doing the jumps, and more than one person's done this or said this to me. They just stop doing the jumps and katas unless they're competing or they have to. But if I'm going to do that kata 10 times, I'm not going to. Then they wouldn't do the jumps every time. So. There's ways, and so for a while I wouldn't do that. Then I got away, and maybe my jumps got messy. So I've tried to bring it back in because I'm trying to keep my body a little bit remembering to do them well. But that's a great point where those jumps are one of those things that maybe that's not the best thing to do over and over and over for years. The jumps in some of our katas, so we have to be really careful with them. And so we can just take the jumps off, make the movement. The jump is usually just trying to train our legs to be stronger. We don't have to jump. There's other ways to make our legs stronger. So that's good. So that's a good point. And so beyond those, I know I did MP for a while as Team Katas. Of course, Giona's Team Katas. And I'm trying to give it love to anything else. But those are ones that all those I mentioned I've worked on very hard and exclusively for a number of years. So I feel like I have a good grasp on them. And that's probably most of them. So right now, nice. My kata. I'm trying to change. I've been doing it so long. I need to evolve to learn something different from it.
When you do it, when you choose another project to put your hands on, it's gonna be refreshing. It's gonna be like a new toy. In the beginning, it's kind of hard. I don't like to do this kata no more, and you're gonna think, oh, maybe I should go back to my old kata. But if you stay with it, you will discover many marvelous jewels into it. So say, Debbie.
Yeah.
So please tell us, what are your kata developments?
Yeah. Well, I'm going to answer that question differently. Where should I start? So this is a long story. But I think for the last, ever since we had kids, so 10 years, our oldest is 9. So when I was pregnant, it would have been 10 years ago. So I kind of stopped jumping then. So that kind of eliminates a certain number of katas. So actually for a long time now, I've been working on Goju Shiho Sho. So that kata has taught me very, very many things. But actually, most recently, I would say probably best for my development would be Hangetsu. And currently, actually, Sensei Freed and I are working on Miju Shiho. And so we're kind of working on those 2 katas. And I just feel like I'm the boss when I'm doing those katas. Like, I just feel like I'm fighting somebody. Like, those katas are just like, both of them, when you look at them, like shifting and quick techniques. And just really, Hangetsu is just so unique in that it really, we were talking about this on our way home today, just makes you focus on your breathing it really, with the different stance and the shifting. And then Nisha Shiho, I was doing it the other day, just in my own personal training, and I can just really picture that street fight that you're in, and you just the constant like the angles and the quick and slow, and it's just I just started it, so like I really don't know much about it, but I just think it's fascinating, and I can't wait to. Then it's kind of like one of those things. I've been working on Goju Shiosho for so long that I exactly agree with you. When I kept kind of putting my toe into different colors, like, oh, that doesn't feel good. And so I think I'm finally at the point. Where I think I'm ready to make that switch, and I'm very, very fortunate where I have someone, who's sharing his kata with me, and he's kind of like, I am not doing it right by any stretch of the means, but I'm just kind of getting started. And so I would say Hangitsu for many, many reasons, and also Nisha Shiho. But I think what about those katas is, as a smaller person, it really teaches you how important it is to shift in, shift out, go to the angles. Of course, I feel like Ninja Shiho is very practical when it comes to actual self-defense. I mean, they all are if you have to really dig in, but Ninja Shiho is just like right there. It's pretty obvious that it's a
Totally.
close range fighting experience. So I think those are the biggest, like Goju Shiosho, as far as my later stage development, help with it. But Hangitsu and Goju Shiho right now are really like.
Okay, so guys, I'm gonna ask you. It's gonna be the last question, but it's a longer one. So I apologize if it's maybe too long, right? So this is more about training, and the thing is, it's like jumping. Jumping it's very damaging in a long run for the body, and it doesn't matter who says, oh, jumping is good, jumping is this. Yeah, but in a long run, if we make a study of 100 karateka that they do jump, we are going to see the sequels that jumping had on their bodies in the long run. And everybody is the same, no matter who he is, right? So, but in a sense, jumping is like that type of exercise that muscularly it's required to make an inflection and extension that is very, very extremely powerful. So saying that, sometimes we gotta put into our program of training things that really tweak our fiber in a very deep way, not 80%, not 70%, not 60%, and then we gotta rest a little bit so our bodies can retake the damage and go away, because that type of extreme stimulation, it had a very deep impact on how the compression and expansion of your fibers reach a better quality, more deeper fiber, for example. And can you, I don't know if I am okay or not, but can you tell us about it a little bit more, in your opinion?
So just to, I guess, to kind of recap what you're asking, are you talking about like a plyometric style of training, and are you asking us to talk about expansion and contraction, or I'm not sure.
Or how do we supplement? How do we get the benefit of something like jumping without maybe always having to jump, or in a way that doesn't damage ourselves?
Well,
is that kind of the question? Elaborate on that. Is that the question?
Jumping was an example. The jumping was an example. But for example, I'm gonna tell you, you're doing Koshi no Kaiten, you're doing Kisami Suki Yako Suki, but suddenly you're gonna do Kisami Suki Yako Suki, you're 100%. Your body's gonna go all over into the deepest way of expression of your technique, and you're gonna punch with everything that you got. After 10 counts of that, your body feels differently, because the compression and expansion of the bodies, the fibers go deeper into the full range of motion, right? So of course you gotta move your body very close to you, so you don't have that impact damaging your elbows or your shoulder joints, for example. But what you can tell us about that type of deep, strong training?
The one thing I'll say that I've heard from a number of very senior people is the idea that when we train, it's maybe a good idea to do it to any technique or kata like two to three times slowly for every one time you do it with full speed. And so it's just kind of a reminder that you want that equation to be weighted more toward good repetitions, correct repetitions versus going 100%, because 100% all the time could be damaging. So you want to tell your body, here's the right way to move, here's correct. And then, you're going to go speed a few times. And I think that's, really the way a lot of our training kind of is now, where it's not as though we're doing 100% speed for an hour straight. We're getting a lot of good reps in, train the body, here's how to do it. And then after we're already warm, we're sweating, then you do a few with full power and full speed, and you kind of move on to the next thing. So that's maybe a good reminder for everyone, is that you want to train your body to train correctly and without injury, then focus on do it slower or 75% more times than you do it with full speed.
Total.
So that's one simple approach.
Yeah.
Then
No, go ahead.
Okay. I thought I had a second point beyond that. Maybe that's the one thing, because there is luckily a lot of karate players that do kinesiology and have advanced degrees in body mechanics. So there's some knowledge out there. It's maybe not as easily accessible to everyone, or if you like me to read and understand it, but we're still kind of emerging in our understanding of fitness and how our bodies best perform. So rather than me, so I don't want to give too many concrete things, because I don't really know what the best approach is for to strengthen your body without injuring it. But I'd encourage people to talk to any physical therapy or training people that they know, look up research, talk to other seniors. The other thing I would say that has not taken over, but you see a lot more of that I think can have some benefit is bands. There's elastic bands. Sometimes they're like rubber inner tubes or like tire tubes or specific bands meant for it. But that's, I think, crept into a lot of different karate training. That is probably a pretty good tool that should, just like we think of Makawara as a great way to train our bodies, I think more karate players should figure out a way to get those elastic bands as part of their training. Because if you have a good band, you can use it for legs, for stance, while you're kicking around your hips. Then, you can use it on your body while you're stepping. You can put it in your hands while you're punching, doing things. There's tons of ways you can use a band. And that's a way to, add resistance and strengthen your body without without risking damaging it as much. Or the band itself is meant to teach you, hey, you're doing it wrong.
Yes,
And if it checks out the end point. Makawara checks the end point of your technique. The band checks you all the way to getting to that end, and that's where a lot of the mistakes are and efficiencies are. So that's maybe something else people can think about, is getting good bands. There's different ways you can set them up and use them. So talk to your seniors. Plenty of ideas I'm sure they can find online, but again, back to the first question, be careful with how you use them, know your body, don't hurt yourself. But I think bands are a good way. If you don't want to jump, but you want to strengthen our legs, those elastic bands.
That's very nice. Nice answer, Sensei Greg. In other words, let's say that we got the makiwara on one side and then the bands in the other side. So the makiwara maybe is to work the ending point of the structure of punching, right? And the band is to work the transition, correct?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Very true.
Okay.
Exactly right. So they do different things. Yeah. And I'd say, Makawara is good, but if anything, people can, Makawara really is a specific, you kind of need a specific way to learn how to hit it correctly. And sometimes I see people hitting the Makawara and I shake my head, and I'll try to, if it's a kohai or something, I'll try to help them out. Sometimes it's a senior and I trust that they're going to know what to do, but I still sometimes, I just try it. I feel weird, bad when I see someone hit the Makawara, and because it's really has a limited function. Like it's not like you can hit it a bunch of different ways. It's kind of limited in how it can and what it's meant to train. So when people use it for something it's not meant for, it's either just ineffective or it doesn't help you, or they might be like damaging themselves or teaching themselves the wrong stuff. So, you know, if you don't have a lot of Makawara experience, make sure you're asking a senior or a sensei to say, teach me how to hit this correctly, because there's a limited number of ways to hit a Makawara correctly. Other pads, there's a lot of ways you can hit them and it's fine. Makawara, it's like a narrow, you know, breadth of how to hit this thing the right way.
But I will say, hitting something
Yes.
regularly is very important.
Yeah. Yes.
Very important. There's no substitute, whether it's a heavy bag, a person, with consent, hitting the person with consent, or a makiwara. Like it's invaluable. And you know, if it hurts your hands, put your mitts on. Like it's something, especially as someone my size. You know, people who are a lot bigger, a lot more muscle can get away with muscling it, but we have to practice the technique, and you have to practice hitting things. And if you don't practice hitting things, it's not going to work, right? You know, it's just the simple things like your wrist can buckle. If your wrist isn't conditioned, even if you've been punching the air for 30 years, it may not work. You've got to be constantly conditioning those things. That's why we talk about those ready-made muscles or ready-made contacts. So like if I were ever in a situation where I had to defend myself, you better bet it's going to be my elbows, right? My, you know, palm heel, my foot, right? My knees, because if this isn't conditioned, it's just going to buckle. And I think Makiwara, the punching bag, people, once we can spar again, it's super important to be hitting things on a regular basis. And I know I'm guilty of not doing it. And you can tell right away. You go back to hitting that bag, like, oh, this feels terrible. But you have to keep practicing and keep it, especially with your non-dominant side. It's embarrassing. But
Totally. So, guys, one more question, if you allow me, please. So we have seen that you have a YouTube channel, which is very, very important. You know, your YouTube channel has helped a lot of us, including me, you know, because I do follow it. Yeah, I do follow it, and I do follow. Sometimes I do your classes instead of thinking what I gotta do, because I don't wanna. I don't wanna get involved into the thinking process. So I said, "Oh, okay, please."
I understand.
And plus, it's a different feeling, right? So if you got only one type of stimuli, you will be limited in your development. If you got many, you broaden your horizons, so you don't know only one type of karate, right? Which is one of the incredible aspects that this COVID-19 situation has delivered us. We have been able to see different karatekas doing what we love in a different manner, with a different feeling and different colors and flavors, and it's incredible. So, what are the projects that you are thinking for the future? Because you know this COVID-19 had changed so much our situation. I never thought I was going to do this. You know, I never thought. It doesn't go through my mind. You know, but again, I saw a necessity. I saw that we need to communicate. We need to establish, you know, some bonds and develop karate in a different manner, because we don't have the old manner like we used to. So what is the project? What is the projection in the future, if you have one? It's a very complicated question.
Well,
but it's an important one for us everybody to kind of think about.
I think right now, really just keep going. Like the amount of feedback that, as far as things to our YouTube channel, like the amount of positive feedback and the sincere feedback that we've received from people is just overwhelming. I mean, we never, when we started this, we just did it basically for our club members, and then we started sharing it on Facebook, and really people kind of just with their feedback, we just kept going, and we never realized, we always thought we were, you know, okay, and we were doing an okay job. We never realized we would make this sort of
Incredible.
and we really just record we just record our trainings that we're doing for our club anyway, and we just post them. So I think, like I said, our short-term goal is just to keep going. Long-term, we actually really haven't discussed it. You know,
I think before this started, we did have a thought of like a project, again, mostly for our club, of how can we use these kind of videos maybe to help our beginning students, that a lot of students, you know, basically white belts. So how can we use this as a way to help white belts out, where they might go to club and they want to kind of work at home, but they're white belts. They don't really know how to work on things at home. So we thought about, well, okay, should we be making a series of videos that would be aimed at helping them there? And what we've ended up doing here is you know, bigger than that, but that's maybe something, if this ever kind of, I don't know, quiets down, or we have more time, or we're looking for what to do, that's, you know, I think one thing that we've thought of before that would help our club, and maybe it would help people out, you know, outside of our club that are also looking to start. Because one of the things that's been interesting is some of the feedback we've gotten, sometimes from friends of ours, sometimes from people we don't know, is they want to start karate for the first time. And we kind of have to tell them, I'm sorry, I really don't recommend you start karate training through a computer. You can hurt yourself, you get injured, you really want someone in front of you that can help you learn movements the right way. So, but there's that interest. There's an interest in people to start. So maybe if you had specifically designed videos that had that in mind, that's a possibility.
And the thing is,
it's really been fascinating. And
then continue, David Sensei. Okay.
Good.
No, I was just going to say it's been fascinating.
It is. In a way that this had possibility that in the future you will be able to see yourself, what you were doing, how, and you're going to say, oh my God, you know, this situation of having those videos and seeing yourself maybe in the future, in the long run, that wasn't existing for us. You know, it's a new situation.
Absolutely. Yeah, and I think in our personal development, it's been good, because we don't have, during the toughest part of COVID, we didn't have an instructor looking at us. So we were our own instructors. We would go back when we're editing the video, we're like, oh my gosh, what am I doing? And, you know,
well, it's funny. We get on the videos, and as soon as we're done the training and we'll look at it on our phones, the turns, we go right to where we're teaching. And we're looking at the video where we're teaching, because we're critiquing ourselves. Like, how bad did I look? Did I do that right? And we're just wondering, like, how did I look? We're very, like, not selfishly, but we're concerned with, we're now critiquing ourselves.
We just don't want to look like idiots.
Yeah.
So we want to make sure. You know, it's one thing when you're live and that video's done, but when you're recording it, posting it, it's up there forever. So, but it's also like I think you were kind of hinting at, we get to kind of see our journey. And so it's a documented video journey of like where we started and where we are now. And I think that's one of the, this month was supposed to be the Shoto Cup in London for ISKF. We were supposed to be in London, England, and I made the team this year. And I was going to be on the U.S. team, and it was, you know, I had babies all these years, so sometimes I would make the team and sometimes not. So this year I wasn't pregnant, I made the team, I was going to go, and COVID happened. So it was really, really hard for me. I was in incredible shape.
I am so sorry. I am so sorry, you know.
It's okay, but what I can see now is what's most important is the impact that we make. Had COVID not have happened, we wouldn't have done this YouTube channel. We wouldn't have helped all these people. And then when you look back at your life, you don't want to say, well, yippee me, I got to go to this one tournament. You want to hope that you have made a difference in people's lives. And I really feel like we have. And to me, that's way more important. I'm still bummed, but you know what, this is so much more important.
We have helped so many people to get to the crisis, you know. I remember in the beginning of this crisis, because, you know, I was going out to the movies, I was doing many things, because I said, oh, don't worry, that this is going to go away. So I started seeing what was going to happen, and I said, oh my God, this is this is crazy. This is madness.
Yeah.
This situation, I never thought of it. But I said, I gotta keep training, because if I stop training, I'm gonna get very depressed. In Puerto Rico, we have a lockdown, you know, lockdown of everything. You cannot go out, you cannot do anything. I was like, oh my God, you know what? I'm gonna start training. But when I start training, I recall that I was like, oh my God, you know, I really don't feel like I wanna train, you know. And I said, no, 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 no. You are gonna go on, you're gonna train. That's what you're gonna do. Then I said, oh, but you know what? I got a cell phone here. We got Facebook Live. Let me try it. First time I tried Facebook Live, it was awful, because I said, oh my God, when I got a break to breathe here. So much stress, you know.
And I mean, your page is
Oh
absolutely.
yeah, huge.
I mean, and your page is just fantastic. I mean, the work that you've done, pulling all these people from all over the world. I mean,
pretty
and
awesome.
I was talking to Fareed Sensei about this, and it's just like, you have, again, you call it that we have charm, but I think you have a charm as well. You just have what we call like a magnetic personality, and people just want to be around you. You always have this big smile on your face. And I mean, it's like, I've never met anybody who doesn't like you. And it's like, why would we, you know, I mean, you've invited us. It's like, we're honored to be a part of what you're doing here, just a small part. I mean, I'm sure you're very busy organizing all these instructors. And I mean, it's just what you're doing is very commendable.
It had been a blast, very complicated. In some point, I got 5 calls at the same time, and I was like, oh my God, what I gotta do here? Yeah, and you know, I'm talking to Algier, Paris, you know, in one set, and I was like, oh my God, and I was trying to write really fast, you know, like. Then I said, oh, writing is not my thing. Okay, voice message. Whoa, okay.
Yeah.
That's smart.
That's good though. With this technology, it enables you to do that. That's a beautiful thing.
And you know, tonight I just learned how to do these interviews horizontal. So it's incredible.
There you go.
Life changing, you know, it's just now.
Hey guys, thank you for your kindness, your time, and we really do love what you do as karateka, and not only as karateka, but also as people. You know, you are great people, great human beings. It reflects in your karate. Your karate highlight that, of course, but you are great individuals as persons. And we are so grateful to have such a valuable example from you too. You know, and I say this from heart, you know, it's not that I gotta say it, it's from heart. I know you. I have been fortunate and to train with you, to share karate together. And, you know, you both are extremely fine people. We are so lucky to have cross paths with people like you, you know, and we wish you really well. Please don't stop doing that. Keep doing it. The impact that you are doing with the community and the people that see your job, it's priceless.
Thank you.
Thanks. It means a lot.
Well,
we appreciate that.
I will say, brother and sister, I send you my love. And like I always said, please be safe. Keep your family safe, and keep training and keep going. Okay. And I hope we see each other soon.
All right, I hope so too. That'll be a good day. That'll be a great day.
Hey,
it will.
Thank you guys.
Yeah.